Hey guys, Dale Pekel here. It is January 2023 and we're back with another installment of what I like to refer to as stuff that you're not going to see in a firefighting textbook. Today we're going to be talking about masonry nails. Now through the years I've actually had quite a few firefighters ask me, what do I use the nails for that I have on my helmet? And that's what I'm going to talk about and demonstrate today. So let's get to it. Alright you guys, if you're still watching after that introduction, I got you curious on what's the deal with nails, specifically masonry nails in the fire service. Well, beyond the obvious use, there's a few other applications for nails in the fire service. And the big advantage of a masonry nail over the standard carpentry nail is the fact that these are heat treated, which makes them a lot harder and a lot less prone to bending than a standard nail. These nails are so hard and strong and durable that you can literally pound them into uncured concrete. And that's the key word, uncured concrete. They're more commonly used to nail into a mortar or a grout joint, okay? And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but these are fluted, which gives them a little bit better gripping power, and they have a really super sharp tip. So that hardness, that strength, that durability, that less prone to bending lends themselves really well to certain applications in the fire service, which I'm going to cover. Now, like I said, few different uses. To keep this video at a reasonable length, I'm not going to cover them all. I'll probably do a follow-up video to this one with some of the other applications. But what I want to focus on in this video is what I've used these nails the most for, and that's as an alternative or a way to supplement them to a wedge or chock to control the opening of a door. Okay. Now I have three representations of wedges here, okay, or chocks. The standard wood wedge. In the middle, we have this firefighter wedge. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these before. This is a composite wedge. If you never have, I'll include a link to a video in the description of this one that I made that covers these quite thoroughly if you want to check them out. And then you have the aluminum wedge, which I would say maybe in the last 5 years has gotten really popular in the fire service, especially for single and dual firefighter forcible entry operations. Probably the three types of wedges that you're going to see out there. Wood wedge, you make these out of recyclable wood, they're costing you nothing. This firefighter wedge, depending on where you get them and if you get them with reflective or not, these are $2 to $3. Now, the aluminum wedges, there's a lot of different manufacturers of these on the market, okay? These can be anywhere from 20 to over $30. So you're going to find that a lot of firefighters really don't like to use these to control the opening of a door because they don't want to lose this wedge, okay? It's pricey. Now, on average, I would say if you look nationally, firefighters carry probably anywhere from 1 to 4 wedges or chocks, okay? With probably the absolute average being 1 to 2, and it really comes down to how you want to carry them, right? And where you're going to put them. We only got so much room in our pockets. A lot of firefighters will carry wedges on their helmet, okay, in different orientations or configurations, but there's also other firefighters that don't like to have anything on their lid. They want to keep their lid free and clear. They want to keep it low profile, streamlined. So you're left to carrying these in your pockets, or with the firefighter wedge system, you might have these on a quick release carabiner clip system. But in the end, guys, you're only carrying so many, and it comes down to space limitations. If you find yourself in a situation, and I don't know what the experience level is for firefighters watching this video, but in the 30-some years that I've been in the fire service, I've been in situations where I've been in large mercantile, commercial, industrial buildings where we've had a lot of doors that we've had to control, okay, prevent them from closing or locking behind us. And if you're only carrying 1 to 2 wedges on average, you're going to use them up pretty quick, and you're not going to be able to control all the doors that you need to. So that in itself gives you one of the big advantages to nails, okay? A lot smaller, a lot lighter weight, okay? A lot cheaper. You can get these literally, guys, pennies on a dollar. So not $2 to $3, not $20 to $30, pennies on the dollar. Here, guys, I have 2 boxes. Okay, a box of 2.5 and a box of 3-inch. And that's the lengths you're going to want, guys. You're going to want to have a representation, a certain number of 2.5s and a certain number of 3-inch. How many you carry is going to be up to you. But the 2.5s is the shortest you want to go, and the 3-inch is the longest you want to go. And those are the 2 lengths that I found that work out perfect. The 2.5s are a little smaller in diameter, so they work in certain situations better than the 3-inch, and vice versa with the 3. These boxes, guys, so this is a 1-pound box of both. You're going to get roughly 80 nails in these. You can get this at any hardware store or online. A box of these, 1-pound box, I want to say $8 to $10, so pretty damn cheap. And then you can distribute among your company or your station. works great. I think the biggest challenge that firefighters have, after watching this video, you guys decide this is something that you want to carry. And let's face it, here's the deal, guys. In the end, we don't always have access to a toolbox. We're just using what we have in our hands or what we're carrying in our pockets or in our gear. And this is a nice supplemental tool, if you will, to enhance your capabilities. But you got to decide how many of these you want to carry and where you're going to want to put them. Okay, so you have quick and easy access to them. This is a helmet that I'm currently using on my volunteer paid on call department. You can see I'm just putting them in a rubber helmet strap. I got 4 2.5s on my left, and I got 4 3-inch on the right. And it's been working pretty decent. I'd be lying to you though if I said I didn't lose these from time to time, but I typically don't lose any sleep over it because, like I said, they're pennies on the dollar, are pretty cheap. Some firefighters on my career department, former career department, before I retired, were playing around with magnets on the underside of the lid and sticking the nails to them there, showing some promise. Just recently, I came up with this little pouch. Believe it or not, I've made this out of Gorilla duct tape, and it's showing a lot of promise or potential. It's got Velcro on it. I can actually store 5 3-inch and 5 2.5s in this little pouch. The duct tape is pretty water resistive. I got a Velcro strap on the back of these on it as well, and what it allows you to do is take this and basically connect it to your helmet band anywhere around the perimeter on it. You could literally put one on one side of your shield, one on the other, and keep it pretty low profile, streamlined. And now you got 10 to 20 nails that you could be carrying, and to supplement your maybe small complement of chocks. Okay, so if it works out well, I might take this to a commercial level and see if I can have these professionally made. I'll see where it goes. I'll keep you guys posted. But that's probably going to be their biggest challenge. Again, is decide how many nails you want to carry and where you want to put them so you have quick and easy access. So with all that being said, guys, if I still got your attention, I just want to finish up this video with some demonstrations on how you can use these nails, both the 2.5 and 3-inch, to control the opening on metal doors with metal jams, as well as wood doors and wood jams, and show you how they can supplement your standard chock or wedge. This is the fastest technique for using the nail as a chock. Now, this method works best on doors that have a self-closing device. It can be done on either a metal door, metal jam, or wood door, wood jam, it doesn't matter. You can pick any hinge assembly you want. This happens to be the middle hinge set assembly on a 3-set door. Take the head of the nail, place it in the corner of the jam. You're going to let the door just close in on itself, and then let the point of the nail rest within the head of the screw. The 3-inch works best. It's just going to give you a little wider opening to the door when it closes in on itself. I'm sure this question is going to come up. Same situation. We have a metal door, metal jam. What do we do to prevent this nail from falling free if we're just holding it in place with tension of the self-closing device? Or let's just say the door doesn't have a self-closing device. How do we prevent this nail from falling free? Well, here's the advantage of a masonry nail, and the fact that they're heat treated and stronger and less likely to bend, is the point, in many cases, not all, but in many, this nail is strong enough to penetrate the sheathing of the jam or the stop, and in some cases even the edge of the door, depending on how they're constructed and the gauge of metal. Now, on doors, you might find a solid edge. Those could actually be even double layered. They're really tough. But then you'll have some that have a middle seam. I don't know how well you can see this in this video, but this door edge has a middle seam. And then there's others that have this back edge that's folded over, providing another seam that rests against the stop. Well, this technique works best for doors that have a middle seam or this edge folded over. You're going to take the point, you're going to place it right on that seam or that gap. And then you're going to take the nail into the jam or the stop, and you're going to close the door. Now, these nails can still bend, so you just got to slightly put pressure on them until you can start to feel that tip penetrate into that seam. There it is. Now the nails staying in place. If you can see it here, there's no pressure on the jam or the stop. So if somebody pushed the door open on a self-closing device, or this metal door, metal jam didn't have a self-closing device, this can hold that nail in place. And I can open it and close it multiple times, and that nail stays right where it is. So here's another visual of that other type of seam that I mentioned in the previous clip. So before we took advantage of that middle seam, right? Now we have this back folded edge, and this is the edge that would close up and rest against the stop and that weather stripping. So because that's another purchase point, you could drive that point of the nail in between the back edge of the door and this back side of the door in between this rolled edge. The problem is when you do that, you're going to dimple this portion of the sheathing out on the back side of the door, so it's going to create a little bit more visible damage. But again, it's one way to drive that nail and hold it in place. I know I do get questions of what about just driving this into the jamb side, because we know that this is typically going to be softer metal than a hard door edge. The problem is on a wood jamb it's all solid, but on a metal jamb a lot of times this space is all the way open to the wall, so it's hollow. Now, just as an example, we drove one in to kind of prove this point, so I'm just actually hidden into the hole that's already there. But I want to show you that if we drive this in, now you can see that once it penetrates the sheathing, there's nothing inside the stop to prevent this nail from continuing to go all the way tight to the inside of the jamb and stop. So the door, you're not holding the door open at all with this technique. You really want to try to capture the middle seam or the edge and then hold that nail in the corner of the stop and the jamb. And that's your best technique. Again, with a door closure, if you're not worried about it, nail head against the stop and just capture the head of the screw. But if you're worried about that dropping out, you got to try to set that nail on one of those seams. When you're presented with a wood door, wood jamb, and a rabbit or more pronounced door stop like you see here, I like to take the point of the nail and drive it into the jamb or the stop versus the side of the door. And the reason for that is that point or puncture mark isn't going to be nearly as visible on the jamb side, especially with this weather stripping, as it would be if you drove the point into the side of the door. In the end, it's just a professional courtesy. You're just trying to minimize any visible damage. So I'm using the 3-inch here. Always use your longer nail. It's just going to give you a wider opening to the door once it's in place. If you have a hinge plate, take advantage of that, because then the hinge itself acts as a giant press and again won't leave a depression on the side of the door when you're driving that nail in place. Take it into that stop. You can place it right on the head of the screw as well, which kind of locks that nail in place, and then just close the door up until you puncture that jamb. Now the big advantage here, whether this door has a self-closing device or not, is somebody pushes this door open, okay, it rocks back and forth. You don't have to worry about a wedge or a chock dropping out of place. The nail's always just going to stay there because it's punctured into the jamb now. So that's a big advantage. When you're presented with a nailed-on stop versus one that's rabbited into the jamb, I like to take the point and drive it into the edge of the door versus the door stop. And the reason for this is these nailed-on stops just aren't as heavy duty. You place that point in and somebody slams this door shut, you could actually fracture this portion out, and now that nail drops away and defeats the whole purpose of why you're putting it there. So nail-on stops, I'll place the head of the nail against the stop and then the point against the door and then close it up and puncture. This is a 2.5-inch length. It's the largest one that I can put in place. This door is tight against the wall. You can see the 3-inch isn't even going to work. So we're always using the largest nail that's going to fit in the opening that you're presented with.